Hope my sound is good. Everybody can hear me. Patch, yes. Oh, good. Yes, perfect. Let's start the recording. Yeah, it's been a bit of a interesting day here because there was an earthquake, but the office is completely fine. But there have been certain buildings that have serious issues. But everything good here from my side. No problem at all. But it was quite a heavy earthquake actually that happened. And yeah, some people actually got have injuries and stuff, but not me. I'm fine. So it's all good. So yeah, it's a big earthquake actually. So yeah, there were actually literally buildings collapsing. Yeah, there were literally big buildings that have collapsed in Bangkok. That was kind of scary. But here everything is fine. There's no cracks. Everything is okay. So it's good. We don't have a high building. We have quite a low building. So it's all good. All good. All right, let's get started. A lot of things to discuss. A lot of things to talk about. We are boosting forward. We're getting so much interest right now from so many different angles and sides, which is fantastic. Like a lot of people are doing research. Soul Research released a great article today, and it's amazing that they mostly did it by themselves. I did have an interview with them, and we did talk in depth about YieldNest and what it is and what we're doing, and they made a 40-page article. So it's like a really in-depth article that has been released. Let me actually drop it in the chat so people can see it for themselves. And I will actually share the tweet. So everyone, please share some love, like, share. Be great. Yeah. Okay. See, Patch. Patch did send. Yeah, the email questions right here. Okay, cool. Thanks. For our TGE, we are kind of ready to go. We're just kind of waiting for the right moment to kick everything off. I think mid or end of April is probably the best time to do it, looking at the current market sentiment, and I think that's gonna be it's gonna be a bit better back then. Ready to go. Also, all the base yields are great. So also everybody in farming seeds definitely do that. As we discussed in previous AMAs, it's actually good. We have a nice community, and everybody involved will get a great airdrop because we are putting our community first, and we want to basically spread out a percentage during the airdrop for seed holders, and then also spread out for people that keep using the product or staking ynD. We got a confirmation that StakeDAO Liquid Locker is now 100% confirmed. I'm testing that right now. I was looking at that before the call. So that is really cool. That means that if you have ynD and you want to stake it, you can either do it yourself. When you stake, the way it's gonna work is that similar how Cur, Spectra, StakeDAO, how all these things work is it's like these variable yield rewards, right? So if you hold VE ynD and you're staking, for example, in a curve pool that gets incentives, you boost your incentives, right? So that is great. So if you lock your own tokens and if you have your own positions, you can boost your own positions. You can decide to do that yourself. We do want to encourage people to do it themselves in the beginning, but you will be able to eventually also even merge your VE ynD NFT into the liquid locker. So that means that if you, for whatever reason, maybe you want to get a liquid position that you can more easily enter and exit, you can go into the liquid locker, and the liquid locker kind of does all the voting and things for you, but you can also decide to kind of influence the votes in the liquid locker itself. So that's a really cool mechanism. And then on StakeDAO, maybe not everybody is familiar with StakeDAO, but StakeDAO is like similar to Convex, and they have an earn page. And then if you eventually, they will probably StakeDAO yield, you can actually already get boosted CRV rewards of the ynETHx and ETH curve pools or other pools. But soon there will also be boosted ynD pools that are going to be listed in StakeDAO, and they kind of vote on themselves on their own pools or their own gauges. So that's why they boost these pools. So that's great. And the whole game theory and we had the curve wars in the past, right? The CRV curve wars. That is also something we're working on after TGE, where it's like, if you have these strategies, you will eventually vote on where you go with things, right? Yeah, so more on that to come. But the liquid locker has been is confirmed and is already deployed on a test net. We're testing all the flows, making sure everything is safe and secure. Yes. Yeah, one other thing before I jump into the questions, as people notice, you will now see, if you go into the community section, you will see a new chat open up, the DeFi strategies. And the DeFi strategies, we really want to call upon our community to help us and to kind of crowdsource ideas for strategies. We of course have a lot of ideas ourselves. We have already a really filled big backlog with things that we want to do to improve ynETHx and ynBNBX and ynUSDX, that's going to come soon. And of course also the BTC max vault. Any ideas around that, posted. And also I would like to hear, like, from a Bitcoin product side, like ideally the similar what I'm doing with the ethMax product. The ethMax product, you have the ETH layer 1 settlement assurances, and if then anything goes wrong with any of the strategies, it falls back to ETH layer 1, so you always have that secure ledger backing any of the strategies we're building. And the same, like, the question then is like, where would we deploy the BNB max vault is obviously deployed on the Binance chain, and then the stablecoin product we're probably gonna deploy on ETH layer 1 as well, and the BTC product we're thinking about deploying that to Hemi, because Hemi has this dual consensus algorithm with ETH nodes and Bitcoin nodes, so we can sync the state into Bitcoin. And then if somebody wants to access a Bitcoin position, they could even exit into just BTC Core layer 1 Bitcoin, right? Instead of Bitcoin on Hemi or something like that. So that we're looking into that as we speak. And I would love to get everyone's kind of feedback, input. You can go to the YieldNest docs, read about our architecture and see any ideas anybody has. I really like to always crowdsource these things, and there's a competition ongoing. Happy to see Mr. Jumper again in the chat, amazing, and everyone here, so very happy to see everyone. And Mr. Jumper has proposed a strategy, so that's like amazing, and also another person, so there's like 2 strategies now proposed. I would encourage everyone to with any ideas on cool strategies, post it, and we are making sure that people that are active there, they are going to get like shortlisted for the sub-DAOs we're building. And the way that will work is that these strategies generate a small amount of fee, but of course it's a small amount of fee, but when there's hundreds of millions of dollars in these strategies, then that small amount of fee actually becomes quite a big fee, right? So these fees then will be paid out to people that are managing the sub-DAO or responsible to come up with strategies, and we're going to appoint people for that down the line, but it's already really good to understand and to just nerd out on DeFi, and then together see how we can pull more people away from centralized finance to decentralized finance. And it's funny because I'm Mr. Jumper. We had a lot of really cool philosophical and theoretical discussions about this in the Telegram chat, thanks, amazing. And the freedom that DeFi can give you is great. And you know, although you know the big question now is in the current market, it's like, yeah, you know, we're doing all these meme coin things, and there's this Athena institutional chain and stuff. But I think it's all distractions. Like what it comes down to, we need a self-sovereign money layer where everybody can transact with one another, peer-to-peer, and that will eventually attract the most volume, the most TVL, will attract the most users. And yeah, things like, you know, Solana and other things, they're a little bit too centralized, right? If you go there, it's too centralized. Well, yeah, it's now attracting a lot of these meme coins. But these people, like, I'm not even feeling that bad, because these people that got only attracted by this meme coin stuff, they're not, we can convince them to be more DeFi users, right? I hope. And then they would eventually probably use more something like ETH or Bitcoin with more harder settlement assurances. So yeah, let's all work together and make DeFi into like the place to be, right? Okay, let's go. Let me get into the questions now. And you know, any questions, any feedback, please drop it in the chat, and I can talk about any of these topics. Yeah, cool. And oh yeah, it's also cool. You can see Roy updated everyone's roles with new logos. You can see Mr. Jumper, you have your nice OG hat at your name, and Hin has the Nest moderator and things, and I'm a Nest team member with Compass. So it's pretty cool, updated. Okay, let me dive into the questions. There are 10 questions. I think we can go through that during this AMA. YieldNest recently hit an all-time high TVL. What factors contributed to this growth, and how do you plan to sustain it? Yeah, great question. Well, the TVL growth, like we are working a lot with Kernel, working a lot with Hemi, and a lot of other different protocols, or Swell, Hemi, Kernel, and other protocols. And the main reason is that YieldNest has an advanced, mature tech stack, and people that want to stake on Kernel, they then want to bridge their Kernel BTC asset to Hemi, right? And yeah, they cannot really do that themselves, because you will need a whole tech team in order to build that infrastructure to bridge assets, to wrap assets into a liquid position, etc., etc. We have that whole tech stack. We built these new strategies, and that attracted a lot of Bitcoin deposits from a lot of whales that want to do that play from Kernel via YieldNest to Hemi, and then Hemi they want to go to Metronome, Spectra, etc. So that has attracted a lot of TVL to YieldNest, because we're kind of like that derivative player, right? So our strategy and vision is playing out. We make capital more efficient. We also, you know, help new assets that have some BTC derivatives, other derivatives that come up that we can help with packaging strategies. But what is really important to know is that the max LRT vaults, they are completely maintained and secured by YieldNest. Strategies are a little bit more advanced. That's why they're also in the advanced page. So be sure to understand that these advanced strategies, they have a bit more risk, but the max LRTs, they're always high yield, but risk adjusted high yields, where the strategies are, you know, they are the counterparty of the strategies. We don't check everything there, right? Of course, the tech and the tech stack is all solid and super secure, but the assets we import in the strategies are, they're there, and we help these whales, etc., to come over, but we're not necessarily putting them into the BTCX, like the final max LRT vault strategy, right? That is still being investigated on, like, okay, these derivatives are now in, let's see how the withdrawal works, let's see how all these flows work in the most efficient way. So yeah, the TLDR of the question number one is, it's like, yeah, the YieldNest is at an all-time high, great, and it's because we're this technical middleware that all these, you know, whales and others need to use in order to do certain flows, and the only way to do that is via YieldNest, basically. All right. Are there any upcoming protocol upgrades or new features that the community should look out for? Yeah, a lot. So right now, like we are focusing a lot on TGE, well, staked out liquid lockers, Aragon, making sure that our DAO completely functions. That is now a lot of focus goes into that, but that's kind of done, right? And now we're focusing back on upgrading our ynETHx product. Right now, we're tokenizing the at launch pool rewards via Asteros. But we're probably just going to build that strategy ourselves. So then we're going to kind of ditch Asteros and just do that ourselves because we found out how to do that, and we're just going to do that completely in-house. That's one huge great upgrade that will attract, I think, a lot more trust than TVL. The second other big release that we're working on is the stablecoin Max LRT Vault, and that is going to go over different stablecoin positions, and we're also doing something with resupply on Curve and Fraxland, right? Where you can deposit a position in Curve land, and then you can actually restake your loan into resupply and then do another borrow against it. It's a little bit hard to explain on like how to do that. But like we know how to do it, and probably we can generate around 20-30% yield with that. And that's basically taking assets, putting it in certain lending borrow positions, and then re-lending against that, and then max looping it, right? So that's a great strategy. The max looping part, I'm not sure if we're going to do that in the max vault itself, but we're definitely going to do that, give that capability for users, right? So it's going to be very epic. We have the oh, nice, I love it, Jumper. You're front running the internal strategy flows, but yes, 100%. It's such I think, Jumper, you get it, right? Like it's a little bit complex to wrap your head around, but once you get it, it's actually a really smart way, right? Because if let's say you go to Aave, which I think we all understand, and you have your USDC or your ETH, whatever, you put it on the lending side, and that's it. Well, you have, in that case, you have your Aave tokenized deposits, right? And you can do other things with that. But there's not that much utility for it. So what Curve and Frax did is that when you have your Curve or Frax position, they make it so that you can reuse that and resupply, and then borrow again against that position in stablecoin. So you can loop your position in a more efficient way, right? So yeah, that's definitely an interesting strategy. I'm looking forward to see the strategy, and we already have the ynUSDx is internally almost done already on the base, kind of the base configuration, and there we just use a couple of stablecoin pools, and we use a couple of things, and we wanted to expand that also with Curve Land and resupply strategy. So like it's a great organic situation there. Thanks. All right. Well, and yeah, besides that, also you can actually go to the YieldNest roadmap, and there you can see other features we're working on. Also, Nest AI, kind of like the AI, will kind of showcase what we have been working on. For the AI side, there's this. There's actually the AI stuff is really interesting, right? Because I know the AI tokens are all down badly, but the innovation, the tech, and everything that's now possible with it is actually increasing. All right, so there's a lot of cool new things that we can do, and eventually Nest AI is going to be your personal DeFi assistant, which will then recommend you to do certain things with your portfolio. So think of it as like, hey, I have here my portfolio, and then you can ask Nest AI a question, what he thinks about it, and he will recommend you. Oh, maybe I can see you have this position here. Maybe you should invest that in a YieldNest product. But it will also recommend other products as well. And I think that's going to be a quite cool feature to experiment with and to see how that works. And obviously all the yield and revenue generated from that is being injected back into the YieldNest DAO, right? So as this first sub DAO. So that's great. Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, moving on. Yeah, so a lot of developments, and just make sure to follow the announcement channels, and go into the docs and you will see the roadmap actually. So if you open the roadmap, let me actually share that in the chat. Yeah, let me share that in the chat, and then you can actually see all the kind of the items we're planning to work on. Yeah, there you go. Fantastic. All right. Oh, here the most DeX-aligned restaking team around. Preach Nestnex. Yeah, thanks, thanks DeFi Scan. Appreciate that. Those nice words. By the way, we'll soon have more examples and tutorial on help for a self-review DeFi Scan. Nice. Yes, I like that. I like that a lot, and we want to get, I think maybe we already listed or should get listed on DeFi Scan 100% certainty, because there, I think it's a really important thing. Before I move on to the next question, what you bring up, MV, because like a lot of things currently that we're seeing is just not DeFi, right? So Hyperliquid is nothing to do with DeFi. It's just it's a centralized exchange pretending to be decentralized, right? And that's what we have seen with the Jelly. The Jelly token kind of exposed them, right? Of like how centralized they are. So I think it's a very important mission that DeFi Scan is on to kind of have projects to list them and to expose the risks or the smart contracts and the multi-sigs. I think it's really important. YieldNest from day one always develops fully open source, so everybody can check our code and can check exactly what we're doing. I think it's very, very important for the overall industry. All right, moving on. What are the next major liquidity or TVL targets of YieldNest, and what strategies will be used to achieve that? Yeah, so we have BitFi, which is a new Bitcoin derivative strategy that is being onboarded. That will probably come in with another 500 to 1,000 BTC. So that's great. That's ongoing. Then we have a bunch of ongoing discussions with different whales that want to come into the max ETH positions. And then the BNB side, we're improving the strategy of BNB because people do not really trust Esteros too much, and I agree with that kind of. It's not also my ideal way of doing it, but in terms of speed, we kind of went with it to just go live with the max vault on BNB, but we want to do that strategy ourselves, and that will probably also attract around another 50 to 100 million in BNB, which would be fantastic for our political swing to Binance and to make sure that we potentially get an IDO there or other listing features, right? So we're very close with the Binance team, and that's why also you can see the Aspecta key program, which is like this Binance related pre-launch portal that they want to see volume. The Aspecta key program generated, I think, over $1 million already in volume. So yeah, that is fantastic. Gives me a lot of relax that 1.5 million now. Yeah, that's good. It's a free floating market, and then at the point in time, people can claim at the starting price of ynETHx. It's just like kind of like a pre-market, right, where people can speculate on certain price, and then at FTV they will transform it into that price, which will give a nice pump for ynETHx at the start. So it's BNB TVL coming in, ETH TVL coming in, BTC TVL coming in more, and we attract those because we have this kind of like advanced stack that people can use to bridge, etc., etc. So that's fantastic. And yeah, multi-chain. It's not really announced yet, but we have been working multi-chain already. We already were live like around 1.5 months ago. We had our layer 0 bridge and everything live. The layer 0 connector has been done for many months, but the multi-chain kind of politics and BD stuff it's not easy, because it's like you need to build all the new oracles on the new chain. You need to then talk to all these new protocols. You need to seed TVL. You need to seed these rewards, and then volume starts to flow. The first target where we want to launch our multi-chain strategy is probably going to be Base, Arbitrum, and Ink for now. So those 3 chains. But what you can already see in our docs, and we're preparing the docs and everything for it already, is that we actually already bridge to many other chains. If you go to deployment addresses, for example, then you can check all the deployment addresses for ynETHx. You see Base, Blast, Barachain, Binance, Scroll, Mantle, Arbitrum, Fractal, Tyco, Optimism, ETH, right? So these are the current chains that we deployed on, and we are going to kind of step in there to attract more TVL. So that's also going to give more TVL. That's going to give more. That's going to make ynETHx in generally more kind of solid, because it has this liquidity profile across different chains. And then when we launch ynD tokens, they are also going to be paired with ynETHx across all these chains, right? So that's the plan we're working on right now. I hope that answered the question number 3. All right, question number 4. Are there plans to introduce new vaults? Yeah, strategies tailored to different risk profile. It's very broad range of users. Yeah, wow, that's a great question. I really would love to see who this question is from, because this is actually something that I'm actually personally working on right now. And it has something to do with junior, senior trenching. It's something that I'm quite excited about, right? Because you always have different profiles of users. You have users that are willing to take a little bit more risk, and you have users that want to have like that security, and they're willing to maybe forgo some of the yield, right? Right now, the base APY ranges between 5, 6, or 25%, depending on market conditions. For example, on the ETH product, similar for the BNB product, right? And what you could do, you could say that, hey, we're making junior and senior tranches, meaning that the people that want to have a little bit more security, they go into the senior tranche, so they take the more secure, a little bit lower yield, and people that are willing to take a bit more risk take the junior tranche, right? But that does mean that if the strategy ever has a little bit of a loss, or at that moment it could wake down a little bit, right? Then the junior tranche has a higher potential of losing a little bit of money, where the senior tranche is even more protected than now, right? So that is the trade-off. And yeah, we are thinking about that, because there's all these different momentum strategies and all these things. Like, I've been in DeFi for such a long time, and I'm always kind of skeptical of these things, right? But we could say we're allocating 20 or 30% of the vol to some sort of a volatility strategy, or funding rate arbitrage that some people suggested in the strategy chat. And those strategies or loops and things, you can do them a little bit more risky, where you take a little bit more risk and get significant higher rewards. But then if something would go wrong, the junior tranche could get hit, and then the senior tranche doesn't get hit, right? So it's like, or only if all the money gets lost or something, then that would happen. But generally, the senior tranche is more secure than the junior tranche. So that is something we're working on right now. It's not something on the roadmap. It's more like, I would put it under the kind of the improvement of the right in Q2. So we're probably going to work on that in Q2, where we will give users an option. Hey, how degen are you? Do you want to go max risk on, or you want to be a bit in the middle, or you want to be completely protected? So something like that we can definitely release. Right now, the vaults are constructed, so we always kind of want to make sure there's no loss at all. Like, we want to make everything super secure. But obviously we never want to have a loss, but when you want to get to the 20 or 30% yields on ETH, which is possible, you will go a little bit up that risk curve, right? So that's just the thing. But I'm happy to see that other people are excited about this as well, and because I'm personally kind of excited about it, and I think this is going to be potentially a very big, cool thing to do that, to earn a bit of a higher yield, right? Yeah, so let me know what you think about this direction. If you guys like this, let me know. Give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and we will build it out. Yeah, and something theoretical. So don't worry, we're not just going to upgrade that in Q1. Probably there's something for Q2. How important is multi-chain strategies for YieldNest growth? Yeah, it's very important. Yes, yeah, yes. I already talked about that, right? So we are, yeah, multi-chain strategy is super important. We will stay on the EVM chain, so BNB chain, ETH layer 1, or other layer 2s. And Hemi is then a little bit of an exploration. Maybe, you know, some Bitcoin settlement would be good. But generally we want to stay on EVM chains because it's just more battle tested for DeFi. Yeah. How does YieldNest measure success beyond TVL? Yeah, that's a great question. Are there other key metrics in growth, adoption, indicators that the team is prioritizing? Yes, protocol revenue, right? So YieldNest generated over 200K in revenue from different sources. And we're going to buy back ynD. So when the TGE happens, there's going to be also buying pressure from YieldNest that's going to buy the token, and that's going to then distribute that to the VE ynD stakers, right? So the main success metric for YieldNest eventually is protocol revenue, right? So how much money does ynD earn, right? So in the beginning, ynD has a fixed supply. It's not like it's not an inflating supply. So it's a fixed supply, and there's a certain gauge emission. So there's emissions that we do on pools and other things to kind of incentivize users to come in, and we need to balance that between the gauges we give and the protocol revenue that we earn from certain products, right? And if we find that right balance, then ynD itself becomes deflationary, right? Because there's more yield that earns than the emissions that we give, right? So that is my main goal. My main goal is to make YieldNest into a profitable protocol, and that is the main target of success, right? The main target of success would be that, you know, we have here these different derivative products. They are earning a certain amount of yield, and that yield is higher than the emission we need to give in order to attract users, right? In that situation, we win, and everybody wins, and yeah, that's a big success metric. And the other success metric for me would be to get more volume, to get have ynETHx and all our derivative products generate a lot of volume and have a lot of integrations. And I would say YieldNest wants to be a $1 billion plus protocol. Like that's my personal goal. Yeah. So great, really good question. Thank you for that one. Next one. What's the biggest technical challenge scaling YieldNest infrastructure, and how do you overcome it? Yeah. I would say, yeah, I would say we're a very technical team. So we are. You know, if you look at other vaults and architectures, we have, in my opinion, the most flexible, most advanced and secure, and does all the on-chaining, all the accounting on-chain. So I think we're technically more advanced than most other protocols, like competitor-wise, like EtherFi or Renzo, etc., because they use external data vaults or something, right? Like, and we do everything in-house, so that means that we are not leaking out money or whatever, that it all stays in the YieldNest ecosystem. And I think that's really good. I would say the biggest challenge on the technical side would be like a way to make sure that, like, yeah, it's actually more of a business and tech thing. It's more like, how can YieldNest increase protocol revenue in the most secure and balanced manner, right? So how can we increase the protocol revenue? How can we increase strategies, etc., without it to take too much engineering time? Because engineering time is very expensive, right? Like, if we need to have 2 or 3 of our engineers work on one specific strategy or upgrade, then that goes to loss for other things, right? So the biggest technical challenge is, yeah, the maintenance and all these other things that right now EigenLayer is doing an upgrade. It's super annoying because we built our core native restaking stack and our, you know, ynLSDe, like just the token restaking stack on EigenLayer. We have our symbiotic deployment also ready to go, but we decided to wait with that because we look from it from a capital efficiency perspective, right? If you look also in the article that was released from Soul Research, that was also my main thing that I was trying to tell them, unlocking capital efficiency in DeFi, right? Because like if we built the EigenLayer integration, that takes time and money to maintain. And then EigenLayer just pushes an upgrade out of nowhere, and then we need to rush and we need to, it's just quite a heavy lift. And that takes away engineering time from the USDC product, right? So for example, the USDC product could have already been out if we wouldn't have to spend too much time on EigenLayer. So right now, that is a little bit annoying, but we have all that under control, so don't worry. But it is annoying sometimes if you work with protocols that are just doing random upgrades and not making it backwards compatible, which is a annoying thing, but generally good. So I would say, the biggest technical challenge is knowing where to allocate time for the most efficient outcome, right? I want to allocate my time and the engineering team's time so that every hour YieldNest engineering spends is millions of dollars of protocol revenue, right? And that's, I think, the biggest challenge. Like, how do we find, like, where do we focus? Should we focus more on the stablecoin product? Should we focus more on the Bitcoin product? Or should we focus more on the BNB product? Knowing where to most effectively allocate engineering time, right? That's always a challenge, I think, for every protocol. All right. Let me drink some water. Okay, so next question. As AI-driven strategies evolve, they're evolving so quickly. It's really cool. I will talk a little bit about that. Let's see. How do you see Nest AI advancing in the next year? Yeah, so what's really interesting, so with AI, like everybody uses GPT-4 or something, and you can see sometimes you talk to it and it doesn't really understand what you're saying. So it needs to have a whole new context, right? But with the advancements of AI, the context that an AI model can focus on is becoming more detailed and more focused. So the quality of that improves. That means we can train AI specifically in the context of, for example, ynBNBX or ynETHx, right? So that specific AI completely understands that product and trains and learns itself better how to recommend strategies, recommend allocations. Maybe Mr. Jumper, maybe the AI will, if you post your strategy on Twitter and you can tag Nest AI, you can ask what it thinks about it. It will learn from that, right? Right now, Nest AI will learn from that. It will take it into its memory, but it's going to become more and more focused, right? And eventually, the AI model, and Nest AI is kind of like the name for it, right? But every subDAO, so every MaxLRT product will have its own focused AI that will kind of improve the strategies and help us as a community. You have now the DeFi strategy channel, but I can imagine in the future there is a ynETHx channel, there is a ynBNBX or ynBTCX or ynUSDX, where you can ask all these questions. We already have an integration with IQ GPT, where you can ask it questions about the protocol. You can say, hey, IQ GPT, what do you think of YieldNest? And it will actually respond, right? And Nest AI will be trained to focus specifically strategies, and because AIs are not really this thing that can do one thing, the AI can do a MaxLRT strategy and at the same time help 1,000 users, right? So we are going to use this AI internally in-house, and we train it with data, and we're going to make it this really smart DeFi AI. And then external people, maybe people that don't even know YieldNest or people that don't want to use YieldNest, that's fine. They can just use Nest AI to improve their DeFi strategies, right? And that's like the final vision for Nest AI and how we want to improve that. And then on top of that, besides Nest AI, there is also Hyper Native, which is our threat prevention, and that's also heavy on the AI. And that's actually also fascinating. What's happening there is that all our MaxLRT contracts, not the strategy contracts, the strategy contracts are 24/7 monitored, but they're not having trap prevention activated. The max LST contracts, they have trap prevention activated. That means that if you now deploy a smart contract that talks to ynETHx, for example, the hypernative AI will see that and will alert us like, hey, guys, there is you have your derivative here, and it seems that another contract tries to communicate with ynETHx, right? Why is that happening? Maybe it's trying to prepare an attack, or maybe it's trying to do something malicious, right? And that is already being picked up by hypernative, and it's also this whole AI system that is picking up in the mempool things that happen. So it can look at things before they actually happen. So it looks in the mempool like, hey, I can see this transaction coming in and it's going to deposit 1 million ETH. Okay, that's fine, but is that a flash loan, or is that what's trying to do? Oh, I can see there's a flash loan that's going to trigger soon. What is that? How can we, is that something dangerous? And if something dangerous happens, it can pause the protocol. Obviously, that is like this extreme case, and that never happened in the history of YieldNest so far. So there's been 0 hacks, 0 incidents, knock on wood, but everything's going very well. But of course, like we are constantly monitoring everything, and we can, before anything would happen, we could also see that, right? So now I hope I give quite an extensive answer, like how do we want to use Nest AI, or how do we want to use AI in general, right? So trap prevention, strategy optimization, and also strategy optimization for external users, which then also will generate revenue for YieldNest. All right, what markets or user sections do you see as the next big opportunity for YieldNest, and how will we capture them? Yeah, great question. I'm always of the belief, right, there's a lot of institutional interest right now where, you know, couple of our investors, Proof, and some of our investors, they have a lot of connections into sovereign wealth funds or big pension funds, and they're all looking at crypto and DeFi, and they're all like, oh yeah, I want to have some stable coins. But if you have to explain some institutional investor on how to use Curve and Convex or resupply, like, that's going to be a lot of work, right? So we package these strategies for users, retail, to just use it. But because we don't really discriminate, we're just building good code. We're just building good products that can be used by retail and institutions alike. So these institutions, they get the exact same products that you could get just from the UI. The only difference is maybe they want to have a phone call with me to ask me some security or due diligence questions, similar like we're doing now in the AMA. But then, yeah, I do see that as quite an interesting segment to explore. Something that I want to be careful there with these things. Like I've run these different funds in the past. I'm just anything to do with KYC or any of these things. I always say like we're not doing that. So you have to do that yourself if you want to do that. So we're just building completely decentralized and as decentralized as possible, and eventually completely decentralized products that are working eventually autonomously with AI and sub-DAOs to give the users or the institutional users the highest risk-adjusted returns, right? So that is the focus, and we can already see a lot of interest from institutions coming in there. And another really cool thing is that Contango, which is a website where you can lever yields and other things, they're all coming live. So like we now have a lot of integrations we're doing with a lot of third-party protocols. So I do see also a lot of users coming in from that angle that are just seeing this cool asset. Oh, I want to use this asset. I can see it make yield, click, click, click. And maybe they don't even see the YieldNest protocol, but they can see the partner protocol, right? So I do see also quite a big user segment there. So yeah, I would say there's some institutional inflow, and we want to increase our reach on the retail side, and also as you guys have seen, we're working quite closely with Binance. So Binance Web3 wallet is going to list all of our products, right? So if you're a Binance user, if you have some ETH or some BNB, from your exchange account or your Web3 wallet, you can just click and go into that product, right? That's great. Similar for Coinbase wallet, Bitcoin, all these Web3 wallets, all our products will get listed there, and I think that will also attract a lot of new users. All right, going on. Will governance include parameter for emergency decision making in case of unexpected market events? Oh, that's a really good question, right? So that's also the last question of today. Yeah, like the emergency decision making. Well, that's a hard one, right? Because if you expose emergency decision making for everyone to skull, then you might get attacked or something. But of course, for ynD holders, we should do that. And we are currently deploying the gauge system and the DAO system for proposals. Yeah, that's an ongoing R&D segment also for myself. My first reaction would be the sub-DAOs will have these emergency decision-making capabilities, but the sub-DAOs, they will have to bond a certain amount of ynD. So we will create emergency decision-making or pausing of the protocol or making sure that if something goes wrong, that they can trigger some event to make sure that everything stays 100% secure. I think that is going to be a function that we will activate on the sub-DAO level. As I already explained in the previous question, we do have currently threat prevention protocols running, and that's great, right? Because a threat prevention protocol like Hypernative, if you just want to use that now, you will have to pay around $30,000 to $40,000 a year. Plus, the configuration of it is quite complex. And we've done that all for you, basically, right? So there is already these emergency actions that could get triggered by this Hypernative that can just like pause protocols, right? And we also have these escape hedges from strategies. So let's say a strategy has an issue, so God forbid, but let's say Curve, oh my God, there's a hack in Curve. Then with one click, it is bloop, it goes out of his Curve position and goes into this the max out default, so that all the funds are safe. So we do have these actions, and I'm just kind of like thinking how can we expose them for everyone for people to use. But I think it would be better for sub-DAOs to trigger these actions, right? Yeah, so I hope I answered all the questions high level. Are there any more questions? I would love to hear maybe any strategy related questions or DeFi or market related questions. Let me know. Let's see how the market is doing. I didn't check prices all day because I have been so busy with everything. Oh shit, yeah, it's been another dump. The sentiment is really hard for ETH right now, but generally I think it will probably turn around when people realize that, yeah, you know, it's not that hard to build a blockchain ledger, right? The hard thing is to build it decentralized. That's kind of the hard, like it's a super hard thing to do, right? Yeah. All right. Yes. How can strategies profit from DPEX? Yes, that's a great question. So there's a lot of ways to approach that question. And it's one of the hardest problems in DeFi, right? DPEX and derivatives and arbitrage opportunities. So currently we are actually in talks with Cork Protocol, and they can inject a peg stability module into the YieldNest assets, meaning that what we could do here is let's say we take a basket of let's say we take ynLSDe, right? ynLSDe has exposure to OETH, staked Frax ETH, and Lido and Mental ETH, right? So what would happen at an event of a DPEG of any of those assets, right? That would not be really nice, because if any of these assets DPEG, then that basket gets hit, right? And obviously we do not want that to happen, and that's why we picked for ynLSD only big blue chip assets with more than $1 billion in more between 500, at least more than 500 million in TVL. So it's like big, you know, systems. And yeah, if any of those things DPEGs, yeah, that's scary, right? But what we want to do is that right now these baskets all are quite flexible, right? So what we want to do is basically when people withdraw, we make sure to withdraw the assets that are not depegged, right? So or when new inflow goes in, to rebalance these assets, right? So if you do that, you basically become a liquidity pool itself. And the best protocol that actually built it in the way that also YieldNest is inspiring to build it is YE from Yearn. Yeah, the protocol itself doesn't have that much TVL, unfortunately, but it does do these depeg protections in the way that I actually foresee it. I think this is actually built in the best way possible. That's i.e. for testament of our industry that we need to focus a little bit more on tech and less on memes. But this is a really cool mechanism, right? So this basket of assets is actually functions more like a liquidity pool, right? I hope everybody can see my screen. Yeah. And how it works, you can deposit certain assets here, and we're going to abstract that away, right? So we're already abstracting this away from the max RT vaults. But what's going to happen in the underneath the strategies, you can just deposit your asset on top, and we then rebalance it underneath, right? We're not using YETH right now, but I like this architecture, and we're going to improve on this. So as you see here, you deposit any asset, and then if you want to withdraw, there's actually a certain rebalancing mechanism, right? You can see, oh, I want to withdraw, and I actually want to do a single token withdrawal, right? So let's do 100 ETH. Yeah, that should be fine. 100 ETH is fine. So you can see there's a penalty, because if I withdraw 100 ETH from Frax ETH, there in the basket it has more, right? And it's quite a hard product to use. So I guess that's why it never really got adoption, but it's really smart, I would say. So you can see StakeFrag ETH is also like a very solid asset, and they're saying, well, if you withdraw this asset, then there's a bit of a penalty, right? But you can also always, if you want, you can always do a balanced amount, so it gives you a balanced amount back. And in the case of YieldNest, I probably want to make it even more, these layers, as you see now, that's going to be abstracted away for the user, and advanced users could use these strategies, or bots mostly use this, right? So if I then withdraw, for example, let's say, okay, the basket now is actually pretty well balanced. Yeah, the basket is pretty well balanced, but I think if I do one, yeah, here you go. So with one, it becomes the problem of this tech. It kind of works, but you need to have scale. If you have scale, it works better, right? So for example, this one, ynETHx 7.7x, that they're okay with this ratio as well. Withdrawal, they give me a penalty. But then if I want to withdraw, yeah, it also gives me a penalty. But if I want to withdraw swell, I actually get a big bonus, right? So they want to get rid of their swell position, it's 14%. They probably want to lower that for whatever risk parameters they use. So they give you a bonus to withdraw this, right? And it's not only users that are using this, it's also bots, and it's also searchers from CowSwap, right? So a searcher goes, if you ever use CowSwap, a searcher goes and it's like, hey, I want to swap swell ETH for ETH, for example. And it's like, hey, if I do that via, if I do that here via the swap interface from YETH, then I can actually make money with it, right? So yeah, that's fantastic. So that's kind of what we, how we want to kind of earn money from DPEGs. Like if there's like little volatility in the markets with these stake derivatives, we can make money from that. It will require a lot of economics of scale. So if you YETH, that example that I just showed, unfortunately only has 6 million. So that whole concept, it's working, but it's not that effective, right? In order to do this at scale, you need to have $1 billion TVL, and then you could actually earn probably like 5 to 10% extra yield for the protocol, right? So yeah, these strategies we're exploring. In more aggressive DPEG scenarios, you could use something like Cork, right? So let me also show you guys. Cork is actually kind of cool to understand this. This is pretty next level finance, I would say. And Cork is also built by like ex Goldman Sachs people and stuff. Doesn't need to mean that's good or bad, but actually in this case it's good. So, all right, let's take the example of I can buy ynETHx swaps here, right? So let's take the scenario. We have a basket and we suspect that Lido is going to get hacked. Lido is going to, this is a theoretical example. Lido is going to get hacked, Lido is going to get fucked. All right, what we then can do is we can buy a bunch of these ynETHx swap protections. And what that means that if Lido would go down, I can say like, all right, I'm going to buy 100 of these things. If then something would go wrong, if Lido would go to 0, I actually get 400 ETH back, right? So if Lido would depack, I will make money, right? This is quite an extreme scenario. So 100 ETH, I get 400 ETH back. But let's say even Lido, if it depacks like, oh shit, Lido is going to depack 10%, and we kind of feel that is happening, or our algorithms or AI is saying there is a depack. You can buy these ynETHx swaps, and if you buy them before the market realizes there's going to be a depack, you can make money by this because you can sell those ynETHx swaps back, right? So if this is just the open market, right? So if I have a bunch of these ynETHx swaps, I can actually sell them back into the market. So eventually this becomes like a whole liquid risk market of assets, right? So that's a really cool mechanism. It's quite advanced, and again, what YieldNest's mission is to kind of package all these cool new DeFi elements and making sure they all work together in unison and giving a simple asset for the user to use. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So that's kind of the high level view of how I would profit from deepaks. Yeah. Yeah. I hope that was clear. Yeah, I hope that was clear. Let me know if not, then I can give more responses to that. What other topic you guys would like to talk about? We're already over an hour. Yeah, if there's no more questions, I'm gonna call it a day. But if there's any questions, you can let me know, and then we can talk about that. Okay. Yeah. Nice. All right. I see some people talking. Let me know. Really cool thing, actually. What I recommend everybody to do in order to really understand kind of DeFi would be to just use CowSwap. Try to do a swap. You can actually swap ynETHx to any asset. It's cool to learn mechanism. Oh, and before I forget, actually, YieldNest now also has its own swap page, and the reason why we do that is because we want to make it easier for users to get in and out any of our products, right? So it's actually quite cool what we're doing here, right? So let me prepare my browser here a little bit. 1 second. I'm gonna show some alpha. Well, it's not alpha. It's live on chain. Yeah. Okay. Oh. Boom. We don't want to go to base. We want to go to. Ready. Okay. Yeah. Let me show you guys. All right. Yeah, so YieldNest has a new swap page. If you go to our after YieldNest finance, you will find this new swap page. And let me actually show you guys what we can do there. Okay. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. 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 And yeah. Yes. It's working. It's working. It's really I really like this. It's a bit it's in development still, but we already released a swap page beforehand, so we can test it ourselves. We can get some feedback from you guys. So what we want to do, like we have YieldNest products, right? Ideally, there's only the max LSTs, and you have multiple assets. You not only have ETH, but maybe you have some stablecoin, and you want to get into your ETH product or your BNB product, right? You can even do the BNB one. So the BNB one, not yet. So right now it's only the ETH product, right? So this is really fresh off the. Oh, this is really fresh off the boat. You can see here you can swap a stablecoin into the max LST vault. So that means that eventually every product you can swap from stablecoin into the max vault. Yeah, so that's really cool. It's a cool new feature we made. And you can click here also bridge. So hey, I want to bridge on Stargate as well. So that's all working right now. And obviously these things are always in quite heavy developments, right? All right, I'm gonna call it a day. I have a lot of work to be doing still on Friday night, so I'm gonna boost forward, guys. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Find some rest, and let's nerd together in the new DeFi strategy channel to learn more about DeFi and work on that together. Amazing! Really happy to be here with you guys, and let's nerd DeFi strategies together. And what I really love about this industry is that we can be nerds together and finance. My background is computer science and economics, so it's like for me, I really feel at home here. And yeah, thanks everyone for being here. And I would love to. Oh yeah, of course. Thanks. Yeah, you can. That's an ongoing thing. If you go to our airdrop criteria list, you will see there's ongoing campaigns. If you have VET to vote on our ynBNBX and BNB pool, you will get those rewards, right? As I said, the airdrop, the TG is going to happen end of April, so there's plenty of time to vote, and any votes would be appreciated and rewarded. All right, thanks guys, I really appreciate it, and let's go. Yes. Thank you guys. Great weekend. Bye bye.